I keep doing this. I keep wearing something that's like almost the same color as my walls. I'll just put a vest on. Vests make everything better, right? Right. Oh wait, that's actually kind of cute. I might wear it from now on. Okay. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be telling you about two of my weirdest job interview experiences. I'm not going to ramble because it doesn't need much of an intro, so let's just get on into the video. So my first weird job interview experience that I'm going to be telling you about occurred for a position that I was applying for last summer. I'm not going to say the name of the place at all because it's actually a government position and I just for legal reasons, I don't want to say anything about where I was applying, but I was applying to intern for a government official. I was super excited about it. One of my friends actually told me about the internship and I was just thrilled because I love politics. I just really thought that this would be the internship for me, but then one of the gifts that I have is gifts of discernment, and as the days grew near to the day that I was going to be interviewing and the day that I finally got to the interview, I just felt like this wasn't right. And I actually had two interviews that day, one for the internship that I actually got at VF that I made a video about in the summer. But anyway, so I get there, couldn't find a place to park. Obviously, it's in the city, there's nowhere to park, and I just couldn't find the place because it didn't look like a building. It looked more like a house, and so do all the buildings around there, which I did not know. So bad on me for not like checking the area beforehand, but I just figured that it would be a building and not a house. So I couldn't really find it. It was on the wrong side of the street that my GPS said that it was on, and I just was not having a good time getting there. So I finally found a place to park. I talked to these two people who were super nice. They were actually working on the road, and I asked them if I could park there for about 2 hours, and they were so nice and they let me park there without paying. And so I was like, okay, maybe that's like a sign. No. So I get in and there was no like wait time or anything. I just went to the room that was right to the right of the entrance, and the woman was like, oh hi, are you Sienna? We've been waiting for you, really excited to talk to you. And so I was like, okay, this is a good start. Like, I've been excited to talk about this opportunity as well. So I sit down and she just asks me to see my resume, asks me how old I am, if I'm a conservative, if I like Common Core, which you guys should know if you live in America is the education system that you're under right now, and I said that I do not. And so that was all fine and well. But the door was never closed, so it wasn't like we were having a real private interview. So these two guys walk in, and they introduced themselves as two of the guys that they were going to be, that I was going to be working with for the team. And so it was really nice to meet them. They were pretty chill guys. But then something that struck me, and these weren't like young adults, these were like older men and kind of an older woman. So one of the guys took my resume, saw that I'm intermediate in Spanish, and literally said during my interview, he was not part of the interview, he said, "Donde está el baño?" Just like that. And I was like, I've never been here before, so I literally just said, "Yo no sé." And he was like, "Oh, you do speak Spanish?" And I was like, yeah, like I would never put that I'm intermediate Spanish if I didn't know how to like read it or speak it. So that was really weird. Then he like fist bumped me, which was also really weird, and then the two of them left. So then we were getting on with the interview. She was asking me a couple of questions, and then she just stops interviewing me and goes, "Guess what?" And I was like, what? She was like, "I just got engaged, and because of that, I forgot all of the questions that I was gonna ask you." And I was like, okay, great. Like, honestly, I don't really care. Like, congratulations that you got engaged, but I just like don't really care that you got engaged because that has nothing to do with me and that has nothing to do with the interview. And so then she'd asked me if I had seen Friends, which I've seen a little bit of it, and she's like, you know the show Friends? Like, where Phoebe was giving a job interview and she was just like not really doing the best job. She's like, I kind of feel like that, but do you think I'm doing a good job? And I was like, sure. I was just very uncomfortable. And then the interview continued. I asked if I could see what the past intern had worked on. She said she didn't have any documents, and I was like, that's really weird. And then basically she said that all I would be doing is cleaning but not putting the dishes away because the help does that, which I was like, oh, that's really rude. And then she said I'd be answering the door, but I have to answer it a particular way, which fine. Then she said I'd be setting the table, leading people to their meetings, not what I had set out to do. I had set out to do communications as a government intern, so like manage Twitter and other social media accounts. So I was not about to clean and set the table and answer the door and answer the mail. That's just not what my job description was. Not that I'm turned off by that job particularly, but that was not the job that I was applying for. Meanwhile, I did not mention it was unpaid. And then what was also really weird is she said, oh, you don't even have to come in every day if you don't want to. And you don't even have to come in on time. If you want to come in at 12, come in at 12. If you want to leave whenever you want. If you want to take a 3-day weekend, take a 3-day weekend and go to the beach. And I was like, I don't think you're taking this as seriously as the person that I'd be working for would take it, but that really just like turned me off because I'm not getting paid. You don't care when I'm here and when I'm not, and I just be basically the maid before the maid, and I was not about that. So then to finish the interview, she said, what do you think about tobacco? So I live in North Carolina. Tobacco is an important industry in our state. So I said, I'm fine with it. I don't smoke it. I have asthma. I'm not really about that life or whatever. And she's like, oh, I just thought that it would be cool to smoke a cigarette on the back porch. The guys and I do it every single day. I wasn't really talking about the industry. I was talking more about for recreation. And I was like, okay. So I just knew that that wasn't the job for me. I walked out. I thought that I was like being punked. I was looking for Ashton Kutcher. Like, I was really weirded out and just knew that that was not the job for me. If I had to accept it, I would, but I was not, like, that was definitely not my first choice anymore. I was very turned off by it, and honestly, hopefully someone who got that internship put their foot down and said that they would be going to more meetings that were government meetings and helping the person that they were supposed to be working under rather than literally being a maid. So that was my first weird job interview. Second job interview happened this year. So I'm graduating this year. I'm looking for a job, and a company had called me, said that they were going to pay me $42,000, which I think is really awesome. Coming out of college, not having anything but their undergraduate, so their bachelor's degree, I thought that was really awesome. They said they wanted to meet me. Great. So again, bad on me, always do your research. I don't know why, I just was desperate for a job, and so I wasn't doing my research as like detailed as I should have been. So I said okay to this person, and then I was looking around on the LinkedIn site. The LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter site all look the same, which that's not supposed to be because social media is algorithmic, and especially if you're running a business, especially like the one that they're running, which is like a PR firm type thing, then they should not have the same image for every single post, or if they do, it needs different wording and not just like one sentence. That's for Twitter, paragraphs are for LinkedIn, and then just visual aids are for Instagram. But it also was very, very amateur photography, like not that I'm a pro photographer, but like it was just not good to be showing, you know, to your clients, especially on LinkedIn. So then I typed in the name. All these other companies under that name came up, and not the company that I applied for. So then I got really nervous, but then I just was like, okay, God, like I know that maybe they're just not a very popular company. So then I found the company on LinkedIn, saw that they only have 11 to 50 employees. So I said, that's probably why. And they had just started in 2018. So that's probably why. So then I went back on LinkedIn, could not find the manager that I'd be working for on LinkedIn. Usually I look at the profile of the person that I'd be working for, see what past jobs they've had for like interviews and stuff like that. I couldn't find them, so then I started to freak out. But I just prayed about it and said, it's probably all going to be okay. I have the address, I have the contact of the person who is going to be interviewing me, so I'll just go. So I go, but I made sure I told multiple people where I was going in case, because in my mind at this point I really did think that it was a sex trafficking scandal, but I tend to let my anxiety like really think up things. I have a very creative imagination when it comes to anxiety, so I didn't want to like rule this out and like not trust, you know, that this is going to be a real thing. So I drive to the company, pull up, and their apartments, and I called someone and told them these are apartments. Now I'm really scared that this is a sex trafficking scandal. I'm going into the building at this time. If you don't hear from me in an hour, call the police. So before I even went in the building, because I saw a woman that looked like she lived in, it was multiple apartment buildings, but the front one, I saw a woman who I thought was living in the apartments, but maybe half the apartments were rented out and half the apartments were for business. So I kept driving around and walking around and saw that there in fact were businesses in these apartments, but they were very old, dirty. We interviewed in someone's bedroom. Like, it wasn't set up like a bedroom, but you could definitely tell that it was the master, and that was really odd. And then I saw another girl, and she came up and was so scared as well because she couldn't find the company, and so we walked in together. So that was really nice. But we sat and waited in this disgusting room, and the person who was supposed to interview me wasn't even there. Haven't heard from her since. I emailed her and said, hey, like, I was supposed to interview at 11. I interviewed at 1. For an interview, if you're not punctual, then I know that you're not going to be punctual when I'm working with you, and I'm someone who's very punctual. I know people are running behind, running late, but no one ever said anything to me. No one even acknowledged me. Like, it was really odd. And so then one of the women who was interviewing me was like, oh my gosh, there's a cockroach, and like, that's really odd. It's a business. Like, don't, like, I don't know. It was just like really weird. It didn't feel like a business at all, especially since we interviewed in someone's master bedroom. And then when I finally got to the interview, I spent more time driving there than I did sitting down because she asked me 3 questions, can't even remember what they were, and then let me go and was like, if you're a good fit for this job, then we'll call you. Never called me. So glad that they didn't, because that was just too sketch. It wasn't what I wanted. It was too easy to move up in the company. You could be working there for 3 weeks and move up and be a manager. Not what I'm looking for. So they did some false advertisement, and also their building, they need to relocate, because that can really scare people and deter them from ever, going to an interview. So those are my 2 weirdest job interview experiences. Every other job interview experience I've ever had, which I've only had 1 corporate job, and then I've been a camp counselor, and then I do babysitting, so that's really like kind of informal. But every other job interview that I've ever had has really gone swimmingly, and I very much enjoyed it. Honestly, the interview process, if you just pay attention to the person who's interviewing you, you do your research about the company beforehand, and you research peer and aspirant companies, then you should be pretty good. Even competitors, make sure if for the type of job I'm doing communications, look up the social media accounts so that you can make some suggestions nicely in your interview. I mean, I have my interview tricks like down pat, but these are just some of the weirdest, 2 of the weirdest, and hopefully probably the last weirdest job interviews that I've ever had in my life. So that was my story. If you liked it, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you like me telling Storytime videos, please also make sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below. I don't have a ton of stories, but I'm sure as life goes on, I will have some to tell. I really enjoy watching Storytime videos, so it was fun actually being able to tell one myself. If you'd like to follow me on my social media, it will be linked down below in the description, and I'd love for you to do that so I can keep up with you guys, and also make sure to subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.